Hey, what's up guys? Alex here with a new video, and today we're going to be talking about the Canon EOS R5 and my first impressions. If you're new to the channel, I am a wedding and portrait photographer based out of Austin, Texas, and I've been using the RF system since it launched in 2018. And just like most people, when the R5 was announced, I was extremely excited, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Again, I am a wedding and portrait photographer, so I will only be talking about the stills capability in this video. Now, I haven't done a wedding with this camera yet. I'm actually doing my first wedding with the R5 the first week of September, but I have shot an outdoor session with my wife, an outdoor session with a model, indoor session with my wife, professional headshots for myself. So I've put the camera through multiple scenarios where I've kind of gotten a good feel for its quirks, its pros, its cons. But this is a first impressions video. I usually like doing a few weddings and putting several thousand images on the camera before doing my review. As I do with all my videos, I will be putting up some of those pictures I've taken with this camera throughout the video so you guys can see some of the quality of the R5. But before we get started, let me hit you with some handheld 4K 120 B-roll. Okay, so that was pretty fun. I want to cover three things in this video. I want to cover two pros and one con. So let's get started. For my first pro, autofocusing. This camera does not miss. It is incredible. Canon's new AF, I think they're calling it Dual Pixel 2.0, is by far the best autofocusing system I have ever used. It makes sessions so incredibly easy. It picks up on the eye all the freaking time, and it sticks to the subject. It's actually pretty incredible, and it's so fast. I think with the previous camera, the EOS R, the autofocusing system was great. I just don't think it had the processing power to keep up with IAF or fast-moving subjects. I never really had it miss too many shots, but there were some times where I was picking up the eye, but the box was like in their chin or in their chest, but technically it was getting the eye. It was quirky, but it worked. With the R5, it locks onto the subject's eye. It locks onto animals' eyes. I actually took a picture of my parents' dog the other day, and again, I was just blown away by how the camera just locks on and stays on. And it's one thing for the camera to tell you it's autofocusing on the eye, it's autofocusing on the subject, but it's also another thing for the camera to actually focus on that. And it's, again, the hit rate has been incredible. For the couple session I did, I don't think a single photo was out of focus. That's insane. I took over 700 photos. Not a single one was out of focus. So that's a huge pro. And as a matter of fact, I think as a photographer, this camera makes your job so much easier because the autofocusing is so damn good. It is by far, I think, the best selling point of this camera. My second pro is image quality. So this is Canon's latest sensor, 45 megapixels, and finally, Canon has caught up with the competitors. I think this has equal dynamic range to the Nikon D850 and the Sony A7 III, A7R4. The shadow recovery on this camera is incredible. 45 megapixels is tons of detail. And for ISO and noise performance, it actually performs very similar to the EOS R, which is a compliment because you're getting about 15 more megapixels with this camera. Usually when you have higher megapixels, you sacrifice some image quality with high ISO. Overall, some of the shots I've taken, ISO 3200 has been extremely usable, and I see myself being able to use ISO 6400 in weddings without any issues. But what's been a massive improvement is just shadow recovery. Now with most cameras, most modern day cameras, you can underexpose the crap out of a photo and recover it in post. Canon has been slightly behind in this area. The EOS R was a step up from previous Canon cameras, but like the 6D, the RP were just not great cameras for shadow recovery. There's an argument there. Some photographers don't ever see themselves underexposing two stops. For me, I don't like using flash, and I like having the ability to say, you know what, I want to retain the detail in the sky. Let me underexpose this photo two stops because I can recover the shadow detail in post. That's where it's extremely useful. Again, there's extreme circumstances where people will make an argument, but to have that kind of shadow recovery and to be able to underexpose a photo to retain detail in the sky or whatever you're doing and save that information in post is absolutely incredible. And the R5 is finally caught up with the competition. I think it's equally on par with the D850 and of course Sony's sensors, which is a massive, massive compliment to this camera and obviously the competition. Those are my two major pros and takeaways from using this camera for the limited amount of time I've had it. There's plenty other things like the new EVF, the screen that I want to talk about in my review. But for my first impressions, I just wanted to cover a few things. Now, as far as a con, one thing I have noticed with this camera that does seem like a bit of a downgrade is battery life. So with my previous R, I was able to do a full couple session. As a matter of fact, I was able to do a couple session, a few sessions with my wife, and the battery would probably never hit 50%. I think the battery life was incredible on the EOS R. With this camera, it definitely sucks up a lot more juice. During my couple session, after about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, I had noticed that one bar went down on the battery. Usually I didn't see that with the Canon EOS R. I pretty much started and ended a full couple session, engagement session with a full battery. And I never really had a bar drop during a session. And with the R5 it has. Now, is it crazy bad? Absolutely not. But I do see this camera for a wedding, for an 8-hour wedding, potentially needing 2 to 3 batteries. With the Canon EOS R, again, I'm just comparing it to that because I've used that camera for the last 2 years. I had a battery grip and I never killed 2 batteries during an 8-hour wedding. Based on the limited use that I've had with the R5 and some of the behaviors I've seen, I think this camera will probably go through 2 to 2.5 batteries for an 8-hour wedding. Not a major con. I mean, the camera does give you better autofocus. It's doing a lot more than the previous camera did, more megapixels. So not the biggest con, but wanted to put it out there. It's definitely sucking up more juice than Canon's previous EOS R. But overall, I've really, really enjoyed using this camera. The new grip, again, there's so many things I want to say for the review. If you're a photographer and you don't care about video, this camera is by far Canon's best camera they've put out from a photography perspective. Its autofocusing is incredible. Its image quality is incredible. Its ergonomics are amazing. Again, we'll talk more in my review, and I do definitely want to put it through its paces with a few weddings. But overall, my first impressions, I am absolutely loving using this camera. I want to pick it up. It's fun to use, and I can't wait to use it more. So overall, those are my first impressions. What do you guys think? What did you guys think of the photos? Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, I have tons more content coming out. Now that Lightroom fully supports this camera, I can finally do some more comparisons. This weekend, I will be doing an R5 versus an R in image quality comparison, comparing noise, detail, shadow recovery, so you guys can really see how much better the R5 is. So tons more content. So if you like this video, again, please like it, please subscribe. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Peace.